you to bleed for me.
Happy Pucking Tuesday, Flyers fans. That's right. Shoot, another Flyers show, episode 15 coming your way ahead of the Philadelphia Flyers and the Columbus Blue Jackets battling out in Columbus, Ohio. Chris Babos here, Philadelphia Sportsnet and Philadelphia Sports Network. Let's get that right. Chris Babos, Philadelphia Sports Network. Here to bring you another episode of Shooting Another Flyer show. We don't have a whole lot to talk about, except we do. There's been 2 games played since I last came to you on Friday. Big emotional win over Anaheim, and then a big statement win against the defending champion Florida Panthers. So we'll cover all of that. Talk a little bit about Jamie Drysdale and his improved play, particularly over the last 2 games. A tough upcoming road trip on the East Coast is in store for your Philadelphia Flyers. And then we'll run through our predictions as normal and give you an idea of what I think the Philadelphia Flyers will do over the next couple of days here as we continue to progress through the season, halfway through the NHL season, which is pretty crazy to believe. As I mentioned, the Flyers 2-0-0 since last Friday, 19-20-5 on the season, 6th place in the Metro. They picked up consecutive wins for the first time since November 29th and 30th. So that was a pretty big win against not only the defending champions in Florida, but to string back-to-back wins together was a pretty big deal. And something that John Tortorella mentioned in his post-game media conference and the media scrum the next day, and just saying, stringing those 2 wins together is important. It had been a while since we had done that. So it was an important thing for the Flyers to do. Ursan got 3 straight starts. Ivan Fedotov will go tonight against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So he will continue to get some work, and he looked fairly good in his spell for Ursan a couple of games ago. Well, not spell for Ursan, but when he had an opportunity to get in front of the net. He's played well, so it'll be interesting to see if he continues to wrestle that backup job away from Alexei Kolosov. Tortorella back in December said it was Ursan and then Kolosov and then Fedotov, and you can throw that combination into a blender at this point. It's definitely still Ursan at 1, and John Tortorella is still very much figuring out who the number 2 goaltender is going to be. For the Philadelphia Flyers, they might end up carrying 3 goalies all year. They've needed it, unfortunately, with the injuries to Sam Ursan. Flyers, once again, I mentioned, picked up the 4 points. They've got 48% of the points available to them so far this season. You'd love to see that percentage a little higher, but hey, I mean, this is why they play the games out on the ice. And at this point, they're in 6th place in the Metro. They're still in that combination, but a good 2-week stretch or a bad 2-week stretch can really go a long way right now for Philadelphia. The upcoming schedule, as I always like to give you an idea of what's coming for the Philadelphia Flyers. They're at Columbus tonight. On Thursday, they travel to the New York Islanders. And then on Saturday, it's Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey to battle the New Jersey Devils. Weekly highlight before I get into a recap of the last 2 games. The energy in the building in Anaheim. You could feel it through the TV. I wasn't there, but you could definitely feel the energy and feel the passion that the Philadelphia Flyers fans. I would love to see more of it, not just when they're playing Cutter Gauthier, although I get it. But it was great to see the Flyers fans bring out that passion. I had been a little bit of time since we had seen a supercharged building like that, and I even asked Tortorella about an energy letdown, and Florida came out and scored 2 goals. And the Flyers looked completely flat in that first period. I'm not going to say that has anything to do with the energy in the building, but it was certainly a far cry from how the building was against Anaheim in that game against Florida. The Flyers found their game in that second and third period, but that first period was pretty ugly. So before we touch on that big statement win, let's talk about the emotional win, the 6-0 result over the Anaheim, formerly Mighty Ducks, now just the Anaheim Ducks. Travis Konechny, absolute star in the game, 4 assists. Sam Ersad, 22 saves and a shutout. Jamie Drysdale, as we'll touch on in a little bit, has been fantastic, particularly the last 2 games. Something that, once again, Coach said in his media conference in talking about Jamie Drysdale and him seeing the ice, him seeing the plays opening up in front of him. You saw that last night, or 2 nights ago, rather, against Florida. But he did pick up a big goal and a big assist in a game against his former team that you have to imagine you have a little extra motivation when you get traded across the country. I would imagine, as a young guy, that's got to be a little tough to deal with. Just everything that goes along with that. Thankfully, everything it seems Philadelphia Flyers have a good locker room, have a tight knit group, and that's going to help welcome somebody like a Jamie Drysdale. They have a bunch of younger athletes already, whether that be a Cam York, whether that be a Tyson Forrester, a Bobby Brink, you know. So there were definitely younger players on the team to help welcome Drysdale, and it's still a matter of him getting comfortable in the Flyer system. And Tortorella has been very, very clear in saying there's a lot Jamie Drysdale still needs to learn at the NHL level. Plays like you saw against Anaheim and against Florida are going to go a long way for his development and showcasing what he can do and generating confidence. Confidence is a massive thing. Take a look at Noah Cates. Noah Cates has been absolutely electric. And confidence is a big reason he's playing the way that he is. What up, Spiral Out? Go Flyers. Absolutely. Flyers about an hour from dropping the puck out there in Ohio. And I think that they have some momentum behind them. And that's something to look forward to, because it wasn't looking too good after entering last Friday. It was 0-3-1. So that's definitely something that, the Flyers have been fairly streaky, and you hope that they can kind of put it together heading into February, have a hopeful winning record heading into the break. That 2-week break is going to be helpful for a lot of teams. There are some players that are going to be going off to that Four Nation face-off. It's not a massive travel. It's Montreal, it's Boston, it's places a lot of these players are typically used to going. Looking forward to watching Sanheim, watching Konechny represent their countries. You see the passion that these kids bring at the World Juniors. And the NHL players really don't get an opportunity to represent their country all of that often once they sign NHL contracts. So I think it's exciting for the NHL to be able to put something like that together and give somebody like Erasmus Ristolainen another chance to represent Finland. I think that's just a really cool opportunity. I think it's something that these guys are not going to take for granted. I've gotten off track here. Happens here if you're a friend of the show, but that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. We get right back on track. Anaheim Ducks 6-0 loss. Frost, Drysdale, Tippett had a second period goal. Ryan Paling with a good goal to start the third period. And then Matt Michkov's power play goal, Garnet Hathaway, ends the scoring 6-0 for your Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers led in shots 30-22, lost the hit battle 31-29. A lot of that, I think, was Anaheim trying to stand up to the Philadelphia Flyer and the pressures that team was bringing. Penalties still an issue. 11 total penalties for Anaheim, 7 total penalties for the Flyers. So that's one of those things that you want to cut down, when you start playing good teams like Florida. As for my prediction, I did say that Alexa was going to enter the lineup and contribute a point. He did not, but I did have the Philadelphia Flyers winning in a 4-3 overtime win, the 6-0 win. I'll take that as well. So either way, you get a little bit of good success there on the prediction. Interesting moment of the game, Matvey Michkov's goal celebration. The kid loves to score goals. It's so much fun to watch. I could watch the kid skate all day. I think he has such a fascinating skating style with that 10-2. If you think about a steering wheel and how you have the 10-2, his skates are often at that angle. And it allows him to make some very shifty plays. So it's one of those things that I haven't really seen too often before. And it's really fun for me to watch. So it's one of those things that when he gets the chance to see the goals, I love to see the excitement. I love to see the joy. And of course, that's a lot of players, but particularly for somebody that's been an experienced goal scorer at a younger age, it's got to be tough to come in now 43 games into your NHL career and you're not scoring anywhere near as often as you're used to. That's got to be tough. I've never played competitive hockey on that level where there was a legitimate stat tracking element. So I never got to know what that was like to go. Well, I certainly know what it was like to go 6 games without a point when I was playing inline, but that's besides the point. Somebody like Matvey Michkov's probably not used to not contributing points to his team. So it's good to see him get back on the board, and I think it's going to do a lot of good things for the kid. The next night, well, rather 2 nights later, the Florida Panthers were in town. A big comeback win for the Flyers. Mentioned the building was a lot quieter. I saw a number of people mention there's just lack of energy in the building. Sam Reinhart scored shorthanded, and then Florida defenseman Balinski's contributed to a 2-0 lead. Garner Hathaway contributed a goal of his own, 2-1 in the second period, and then Noah Cates tied it on the power play. At 2:01 of the third, Sam Reinhart with a power play goal, again, 90 seconds after. It's been a constant theme for Philadelphia, giving up a goal after they score a big goal. But this time it was Morgan Frost punching in a goal and a great play by Jamie Drysdale on the man advantage. Drysdale was walking the line, something he's gotten a lot better at here in his time in Philly, and just delayed enough to open up a seam. And when he opened up a seam in the Florida Panthers defense, he found Michkov kind of camping out behind the corner of the post, trying to maybe hide, get lost from the defense. Whips a great pass over. Michkov didn't get all of it, but got enough to get it over to Morgan Frost, who slammed it home to tie the game at 3. It was another big goal for the Flyers. It was 2.5 minutes after Florida scored. So for Morgan Frost to get his 10th of the year at that point was a big deal. It's Drysdale's 8th assist and Michkov's 18th assist of the season. And then Noah Cates won the game, his 9th of the year, an incredible play in which he caught a puck at the blue line, essentially, well, in neutral zone rather, chipped it up, batted it down with his glove, was the first person to touch it for the Flyers, which made it a legal play, and then walked in and put a backhander past Sergei Babovsky to give the Flyers a 4-3 lead. It was one of those plays that you can see the growing confidence that Noah Cates is playing with. And that's a play that Tortorella talked about after the game. He said last year Cates would have just backhanded that right into Bobrovsky's pads. Instead, he makes a deke move, lifts the puck over the goaltender and in the back of the net. And the Flyers pick up what's perhaps one of their best wins of the year. They were down early, and they managed to fight and claw and scratch the Florida Panthers in a big 4-3 comeback win. They lead the NHL. If I remember this stat, I believe it was 8 comeback wins now. I believe Anaheim had 7. So the Flyers now lead the league in that regard. And they were a feisty team last year, and they're showcasing those similar attributes as we hit mid-January here in 2024-25. Shout out to NBC Sports Network's Ashlyn Sullivan, the sideline report on Matvey Michkov being called Mike by the team, being based around I believe she said it was Ryan Poehling. I should have looked at this before I went live, but I didn't. I believe it was Ryan Poehling had come up with the nickname Mike for Matvey Michkov, based off of the fact that Michkov has the thickest neck that he's seen since Mike Tyson. which makes perfect sense. Mike Tyson was a beast. I've watched a couple of documentaries on him. He's a great fighter, huge neck. So, pretty cool story from Ashlyn Sullivan. I had heard it in passing that they were calling him Mike. And it sounds like it sticks. So, a good American nickname for the Russian kid, Mike Michkov. I like it. The prediction, I did say Michkov was going to get a point, so that's correct. I had the Flyers down for a 4-1 loss. That was incorrect. So 1 for 2 on the prediction in the game against the Florida Panthers. Tonight, the Philadelphia Flyers enter with some momentum against Columbus, who are also very hot. 7-2-1 over their last 10. I had the Flyers down on Friday as a loss. They enter the game with a lot more momentum. I don't often change my picks. I like to stick to my word. In this case, I'm going to make a change. I think Fedotov still lets in 2 goals, as I predicted on Friday. However, I think it's Philadelphia that comes in with the momentum, and they walk out with a 3-2 win in Columbus tonight. We'll see if they can do that. There's a lot riding. Columbus has been a good team at home this season. But ultimately, I think it's a situation where the Flyers can continue to build on beating one of the best teams in the league. And they need to do it against a team like Columbus. They need to do it against the Pittsburgh Penguins. They need to do it against the Islanders coming up. Those teams that you're fighting with in that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place in that Metropolitan Division, you need to pick those points up against those teams. It's not going to be easy. John Tortorella, the Philadelphia Flyers know that. But you need to kind of keep those consistent winning ways running so that you can then at least be in that conversation after that NHL face-off in February and heading towards that final stretch of the season. Tough upcoming road trip for the Philadelphia Flyers. They're in Columbus tonight, as we mentioned a couple of times. On the road to New York, the Island, UBS Arena up there in Belmont, New York, and then Prudential Center at Newark, New Jersey. So a fairly easy travel-wise East Coast road trip, but a couple of tough games. Columbus comes in, as I mentioned, 7-3-1 over their last 10. They're led in ice time by Zach Werenski, one of the best defensemen in the league. He's got 48 points, 13 goals, 35 assists. Kirill Marchenko, 24-year-old winger, has played excellent this season for Columbus. Set a new career high in points already with 42. I'm sorry, with 47. He had 42 last year in 78 games. He's within 5 of a new career high in goals. He's already smashed his assist total. So Kirill Marchenko is going to be somebody to keep an eye on in the game tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers to shut down because he's having a really good season there with Sean Monahan in Columbus as they continue to play well. They're getting fantastic goaltending as well. Elvis always in the building, an 89% save percentage, a 3.13 goals against average. That's pretty solid. So we'll see if Elvis goes tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. But it's going to be a tough game against the Blue Jackets nonetheless. On Thursday, Philadelphia travels to New York. They're led by Anders Lee, 19 goals and 16 assists for 35 points. Bo Horvat, 13 goals, 17 assists, and 30 points on the season. They're also getting fantastic goaltending, although they've been relatively middle of the pack over the last 10 games at 5-5. Ilya Sorokin, 13-13-4 with a 2.83 goals against, 90% save percentage. Semyon Varlamov, the backup duties, 3-4-3 in 10 games played, 2.89 goals against, with a 89% save percentage. So solid goaltending there in New York. They've struggled in that Metro division to find wins, and it'll be interesting to see how they continue to play here as we head into that backstretch of the season. And then rounding out the road trip's going to be Saturday night against the New Jersey Devils. They're a little bit better than the Islanders have been, 5-4-1 over their last 10, but they've also struggled a bit. Led by Jack Hughes, 17 goals, 35 assists for 52 points. Jesper Bratt, 15 goals, 36 assists with 50 points. And just again, another solid team that the Philadelphia Flyers are going to have to go through and try to pick up points. Jacob Markstrom traded from Calgary to New Jersey in the offseason. He's 21, 8 and 3 with a 219 goals against average, 91% save percentage for New Jersey. So he's doing about everything that you would have expected in the move from Calgary to Jersey, and really helping to backstop that team as they've continued to sit around the top in that top four section of the Metropolitan Division since the start of the season. All right, wrapping up here pretty quickly with some predictions. I mentioned the change to the Columbus prediction. I had the Flyers as a 3-1 loss on Friday. Things changed, 2 wins, some momentum. I have a 3-2 win for Philadelphia with Fedotov allowing the 2 goals, but the Flyers getting the win tonight in Columbus. On Thursday against the New York Islanders, I think the Isles continue to struggle. They're under 500 right now at 17, 18, and 7. I think Noah Cates picks up another big goal, and Mike gets the power play goal. Matt Michkov with the PPG in a 4-2 Flyers win on Long Island. And then I think the Flyers stun the Devils. I think they continue to pick up momentum. They continue to put together a winning streak here. And Sam Ershon picks up a massive shutout against the Devils. 2-0 is the score that I have predicted. We'll kind of see if anything tracks. I have an okay record. I tend to get a couple of them right as we go. At the end of the year, I'll have to total that out and see how we did. But as of now, we like to look week for week, and we tend to do okay. So against the Devils, once again, Philadelphia picks up a win, 2-0. Ersan shutout. And hey, if you have predictions, send them my way. See Babos writes on socials, whether that's Blue Sky, whether that is on Twitter. You can also use at Shoot Flyer Show on Blue Sky, and I think it's Shoot Another Flyer Show on Blue Sky, and then at underscore or shoot underscore flyers. There you go. It's on the bottom of the screen. If you have any predictions, like spiral out, we can always share them and see how right you are here in the chat. I'm done with predictions. Haven't felt the pulse of the team all year. I can completely understand that. It's been a bit of an up and down season there, spiral out. You think they're going to make a run, and then they have a bad game. I think that they can draw some momentum from the game against Anaheim and the game against game against Anaheim and the game against Florida. And that propels them at least to a big weekend. And we'll see what happens. Whether the Flyers go 3-0, I think that might be a little optimistic. But they have momentum on their side. So we'll kind of see how that ends up. Once again, Philadelphia Flyers, Columbus Blue Jackets coming up in about half an hour on your regularly scheduled hockey networks. And stay tuned. We've got Flipping the Birds coming your way, a playoff edition at 7:30. You'll be able to see this smiling face once again. Probably change out the jersey in the background, make it a little more Eagles themed. But we're excited to talk about a big Eagles wild card win and then a big Eagles playoff contest against the Los Angeles Rams. It's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. So we'll see you at 7:30. Once again, I'm Christopher Babos, Philly Sports Network. I thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday night. Let's go Flyers, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great evening.
I want you to bleed for me.